All right, I'm Nima, reporting for ArabNet from South by. We have Natalia with us today, and you are this little power woman who's doing all kinds of cool things, empowering women and investors and connecting the dots. Tell us a little bit about Natalia. Tell us, what you're up to, and then I want to talk about that dope shirt you're wearing.
That's hilarious. You're reminding me about the saying that great things come in small packages. So I'm Natalia Oberti Noguera. I am the founder and CEO of the PITME Fellowship, which is an angel investing boot camp for women philanthropists, and I'm Nakas on Twitter. So I'm a huge advocate for Twitter in terms of democratizing and creating more access for these sort of conversations. I launched the PITME Fellowship after having tons of conversations with women social entrepreneurs and hearing the same thing over and over again. They were having such a hard time securing capital for their for-profit social ventures. And that's when I realized that, as usual, entrepreneurs are ahead of the curve. They were coming up with the hybrid business models, and that we needed to create more hybrid investors who got the value proposition of doing well and doing good. A lot of the pushback that they kept having was, you want to change the world? That's great. I'll donate. Let me write the check. Oh, you're a for-profit. Come back once you have started your sister nonprofit. And if we really want to change the world, we really need to make it more accessible for these for-profit social ventures to ultimately be what they have the capacity that they have to become more self-sustaining and ultimately create a bigger impact. So the PITME Fellowship is an angel investing bootcamp that lasts about 6 months, and we have 3 main components: education, mentoring, and practice. In terms of education, we hold workshops on topics ranging from due diligence, portfolio strategies, measuring impact, and all of the workshops are led by experts, whether they be seasoned angel investors or VCs or lawyers or impact investing professionals. The mentoring actually is one of my favorites, and we match our fellows up with experienced angel investors so that they can share, I like to say, their best practices and their best mistakes, because that's what we really learn from. And a lot of them actually are white guys on purpose, because I'm interested in integrating our fellows into the predominantly male networks that are out there versus creating a silo. And finally, the practice, Nike says, is best, just do it. And we have a signature event that is a pitch summit. We issue a call out for applications from women entrepreneurs, and then the fellows, and generally we have about 10 women per class. They end up reviewing the applications, selecting about 8 to 10 entrepreneurs to present at the pitch summit, and ultimately they select 3 to move forward to due diligence. So as they're learning how to perform due diligence, they're able to apply lessons learned to real companies, and ultimately they select as a group one company to invest in. The current investment commitment that we ask of our fellows is $5,000 for a collective of about $50K minimum that is getting invested into these companies, and thrilled to share with you some ripple effects of just getting 10 angels in training, that's what we call them, and 10 women entrepreneurs in one room. First of all, once they have selected that company that as a group they're interested in investing in, several fellows have actually stepped up to the plate and said, you know what, I'm so committed to this entrepreneur, I'm actually going to be investing more than $5,000.
Awesome.
So several of the companies that have been invested in by PITME Fellows have raised over $100,000. And we're talking about very, very early stage companies that are looking at raising between 75K and 250K. It's the first time that they're going outside of friends and family. So that's a pretty huge chunk of money that we're talking, that we're creating that sort of capital for them. And then the other, I like to say, the other six of the story that I love to share is that sometimes maybe, let's just say, the majority of the group is interested in ed tech. However, there's a fellow who really likes healthcare, and there's a company that she gets to hear about through the pitch summit, and we've had some fellows that have actually independently ended up investing in companies outside of the group one, and just seeing that multiplier effect of really putting 10 women in the room with money who are interested in learning about angel investing, and 10 women in the room with that business idea that is looking to change the world. And together they're really pushing the envelope in terms of getting more social enterprise concepts out there, because we need more data points. And currently there's this, I like to call it the lost middle. You know, we have 50K and under, it's microfinance and microloan, and what is the face of that? The woman of color entrepreneur. We have like $500, $1 million plus dollars, venture capital, what is the face of that? A white guy.
Yeah.
And then we have this missing middle of about, I'd say, like from 50K to 250K to 500K, and particularly in the social entrepreneurship ecosystem, where it's super hard to navigate. And guess what? Some ideas need to die, but some ideas just need that critical capital injection to get to the next level.
Totally. Where are the entrepreneurs coming from? Is it international, globally, or U.S. only?
So currently, the entrepreneurs, we're looking at them being incorporated in the U.S. At the same time, a lot of the companies have a global focus. So let me give you 3 examples of companies that have been invested in by Pipeline Fellows. One of them is called Philantech, and it's based in D.C. And what they do is it's an online grants management system looking to create efficiencies between funders and nonprofits. Another company, woman-led for-profit social venture, that's our criteria. The woman-led is very simple. We've had guys come in saying like, we want to pitch. I'm like, do you have a woman co-founder? No, come back when you do. So it's really that sort of being able to have like a tangible opportunity that gets people, and especially guys who haven't even thought about having a diverse founding team, it gets them to think about, oh wow, there are opportunities out there if I engage a more diverse founding team. And the other one is for profit. And of course, some nonprofits are like, we want to pitch. I'm like, great, go and find some grants and some donors, because that's what they have. And we still, I like to say there's this huge incentive for a lot of social entrepreneurs to start and stay nonprofits, because once they become a for-profit, then those donations, then those grants are no longer available to them. And there's still not enough early stage impact investors, i.e. angel investors, to take the place of donations and that sort of funding. And then so woman-led for-profit, and the third criteria to be able to apply to present at a pitch summit is social venture. That's huge. Like, that's very huge and very vague. And so what we like to do is we share with fellows, and we have people come and share with them what their portfolio strategy is, whether is it a geographic focus, is it an issue-specific focus, is it a platform-based focus, mobile only, for example, like Women Innovate Accelerator. And then we get them to just choose and own it, so that they know that they have skin in the game, and they're deciding what their preferences are.
Totally. What brings you to South by? I know you've been on some panels and you're judging, like all kinds of stuff going on.
I'm here to call out when we need to have more voices at the table, and I'm happy actually to be also providing that diverse perspective. I spoke on a panel on crowdfunding and angel investing at the Black Founders Conference yesterday.
Awesome.
And today, actually, I mentored for Startup America. They have this next mentoring initiative, and then later on today, I'm actually going to be serving as a judge for the Tech Cocktail Pitch Summit. Cool. Tomorrow, I'm going to be speaking on the New Minority Entrepreneur, and the panel's hashtag is New Gen Y, which I actually love that hashtag. Cool. Yeah. And really looking at talking about, for example, there's a report from Kaufman that looked at how about 50%, if not more, of millennials want to start a business. And really, in addition to just talking about millennials, also making sure that we're talking about the diversity. Whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's the gender aspect, the race aspect, and also talking about the immigration aspect as well, which is so super important for us to talk about. And then I'm also going to be judging their pitch, the Bit House, Black Tech House. They have a pitch summit also going on tomorrow. And I actually have something else that I'm doing in Austin. Oh my God. How much more? This is about being efficient, being productive and efficient. I'm based in New York City, so it's not like every day that I'm in Austin. Yeah. We've gotten a lot of interest to come launch the Pipeline Fellowship in Austin, and what's interesting is that usually we have a few people who are the high net worth women who are looking to become angel investors. A huge push for us to, from people who want us to come to a new geography are the entrepreneurs. Yep. Why? Because entrepreneurs are everywhere, capital isn't. And so we've gotten a lot of emails where like, women with money are here. You need to come. You need to convert them so that they can then invest in us. So looking at doing that, we're launching a new interview series, which is called, and actually it's what my shirt says, which is Changing the Face of Angel Investing. And it's really an opportunity for us to just have like an info session, get people to learn more about what the Pipeline Fellowship does. And it's also an opportunity for us to highlight and spotlight someone who is currently helping to change the face of angel investing in the entrepreneurship and the VC community. So our inaugural interviewee is Ingrid Vanderveld, who I don't know if you've heard of her, she's the entrepreneur in residence at the Dell Innovation Fund. So it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say.
Very cool. So you've got a ton of things going on at South by. You're running around. I want to thank you, first of all, I didn't thank you in the beginning for making time, but anyway, so all of this that you're talking about is super interesting for what we're trying to do, because people in the Middle East are kind of disconnected. Women are still kind of creating opportunities for themselves, but I can tell you there's a ton of women in the Middle East who are passionate, motivated, just hungry for change, and super inspired to learn and to build really cool companies. And so when I meet people like you, I want to let people know that you can do it, and like you said, just do it and rock it. So with that, I want to thank you.
Thanks. I do want to leave you with two things.
Sure.
The first one is there's this whole thing about, and as a half Colombian, half Italian, I like to make sure that people remember that what a lot of our countries are usually called is not necessarily the right term. I actually have heard, and I prefer the term global majority. So really changing the conversation and talking about the global majority, and really making sure to normalize the conversation. So I just want to give you some stats. In 2011, only 12% of U.S. angel investors were women, and only 4% were minorities. And we're talking about the U.S.
Wow.
So there's still a lot of work to be done. I'm, being optimistic, I like to call it a growth opportunity, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so I just want to make sure that your audience gets a chance to hear that we also have a lot of work to do in the U.S., and I'm committed and passionate about doing that. And then the other thing is, as it sounds like you got a sense, I'm on a mission, and I have many missions. And one of them currently is actually to get the word out and get entrepreneurs, particularly women and people entrepreneurs, to just really embrace what my new motto is, which is pitching isn't a zero-sum game.
Yep.
And I'll repeat it again. Pitching isn't a zero-sum game. And what I mean by that is I meet a lot of women and people of color entrepreneurs who have been stewing on an idea, on their business, and they're like, it'll be 8 months, it'll be a year, 18 months, and they're like, I'm not yet ready. I'm like, you know what? You need to step up to the plate and you need to pitch. And they're like, I just need to dot the I's, cross the T's. They don't realize that actually pitching, it's not about like, I'm either going to get funded or I'm not. It's actually, maybe if they don't get funded that day, they might make some key connections to some investors who might know someone who might be interested in funding them, and or get some feedback that will get them closer to a business model that will meet the market needs. So if anyone's watching and they're still stewing on their idea, like Sumaya Kazi, I'm not sure if you know her, she's at Sumaya on Twitter. She likes to say, don't sit on good ideas. So if anyone is watching and sitting on a good idea, make sure to stand up.
Totally. Well, it brings up a good point. In the Middle East, the idea of transparency is still kind of looked upon. People are scared to talk about their idea because they feel people are going to steal it. But I think here at least we've gone through that phase already, and people talk, and you want to get feedback, you want to get people excited, and you want feedback, and you want people to connect you, and that's how business moves forward. So super awesome advice. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Natalia. Thanks for making time. We'll see you next time. Peace.